The guy's just insane. There was a video going around of people saying it wasn't worth it when City signed him for 55 million from Wolfsburg. Poor fools. Welcome back to another week of TFW. This is the footballing show dominated by your opinions, and I am sitting on the brand new Onefootball set. We've done away with the trusty laptop. There's a trusty iPad instead, so let's get straight into it. So, first off, and Sanket Das has written in and said, yet another terrible piece of business by the Barca board. Obviously talking about Arthur. Selling a young, exciting midfielder for an aging one who has passed his prime. Well, that's a little bit harsh. Makes no sense. If this continues, we're going to be the next AC Milan after Messi retires. By the way, so many of you have said, oh, we're just going to be AC Milan. Why are you throwing so much shade on them? They're actually doing pretty good. There's a good bit of form for AC recently, and there are also loads of other teams who have fallen off. It does seem to be a terrible piece of business. I guess from the outset, it sounds to me as if what Barcelona have said, or maybe not so clearly in as many words said, is that the 72.5 million euros they're going to get from Arthur is worth more than having him on the pitch. Like, potentially they weren't going to be able to promise him enough minutes. I don't know whether they're changing tactic and there's only going to be De Jong and Busquets in the midfield. But it would seem that from Barca's side, not only are they letting go of a player who's 23 years old, they're letting him go ahead of the older players like Vidal, like Rakitic, even a bit further forward in the midfield like Coutinho. And they're getting in a 30-year-old. Like Pjanic is going to be good for maybe 2 years, 3 years, and then be in the same position that Rakitic and Vidal are in. So I'm not quite sure it makes sense. If Arthur's worth 72 million, he's obviously a decent player. In the next few years, he's only going to get better. I mean, I don't quite see what's going on here. And yeah, obviously a little bit of shade thrown on them there. Next up, ME sticking with the Barcelona theme, saying Barca will finish outside the Champions League spot after LM10 retires. By the way, LM10 just doesn't roll off the tongue as good as CR7 does. Not saying one of them is better than the other, just CR7 sounds cooler. Anyway, I don't think they'll finish outside the Champions League spot. Yes, Messi is carrying Barcelona, is obviously one of the best players of all time. Are they going to be that bad? Are they going to drop that far down? I can't see it happening. Barcelona has some very talented players. They do have some good players coming through, and even if the board is messing around a bit, and they'll be gone by this time next June with the elections, I'm not so sure they'll finish outside the Champions League spot. That's a very, very big decline for such a massive club with the kind of power they have. Even if Messi does retire. Don't get me wrong, they're nowhere going to be near as good, but they're still Barcelona. Atish Dawan has said, hot opinion, Zidane is one of the tactically strongest managers in the world. He knows exactly who to play and in what formation. His lineups cause controversy pre-game, but the controversial decision turns out to be a game changer. I'd actually genuinely agree with this. Don't get me, I was completely on board with the whole Cristiano Ronaldo thing at Real Madrid. That he carried them to all the Champions League titles, he was the main factor. Zidane was just lucky to have a good team with Ronaldo. But I'm starting to think that Zidane actually got the best out of Ronaldo because of the way he set up the rest of the team. And I think it's clear to see that when Ronaldo left last season, they were very poor, other managers couldn't do it. Zidane came in towards the end of the season, played the last few games. Now this year, his first year back, yes, they're out the Copa del Rey. Yes, it's very difficult to overturn the 2-1 defeat to Manchester City in the second leg of the Champions League. They're leading La Liga at the moment, and I think player for player, they don't have the best in the world in certain positions. He's also got a team in which Hazard is coming back into form, but certainly hasn't been worth the money just yet. He's got a team with, unhappy individuals, reportedly so, like James Rodriguez, like Isco, like Bale, one or two others as well. He's dealing with a slightly older team when it comes to, Ramos and Modric as well. And also with players who, we see this kind of often, players that almost don't have another level to reach when it comes to motivation. When you've won everything and you've been in the same team and they've won everything for the last however many years, it's difficult to find that motivation. So the fact they're turning it round and he's showing Karim Benzema to almost have a new lease of life, big credit to Zidane. I agree with you, Atish, big credit. Steve Sharia next has said, despite Liverpool winning the league, I believe Kevin De Bruyne has been the league's best player and it isn't even close. Bam. Big opinion, I'm right behind you. Yes, Kevin De Bruyne has been the league's best. Liverpool have been the best team by a country mile, by 23 points I think it currently stands at. Kevin De Bruyne is the best. Oh my word, is he the best player. I think he's been involved in 30 goals in all competitions this season. I think it's 18 assists and 12 goals. The guy's just insane. There was a video going around of people saying it wasn't worth it when City signed him for 55 million from Wolfsburg. Poor fools. Leighton Miller said Liverpool's title campaign is the most overrated ever. Here we go. There's always one. Welcome to the show, Leighton. It was handed to them on a plate. You know that most of the big six are underperforming when there is a chance Sheffield United can get a Champions League spot. Shots fired at Sheffield United, who have done incredibly well after being promoted, so I'm not having that. Most of the big six are underperforming. Yeah, I guess you could say they're underperforming, or is the rest of the league just more competitive? Is it a sign that the fact that Wolves, Sheffield United are making plays for a Champions League spot shows that the rest of the top six aren't going to have it all their way? Gone are the days where, you know, Arsenal, City, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool and who's the other one? Man United just roll into town and just take 3 points off the rest of the league like it's nothing. No. Teams like Wolves, Sheffield United, even Everton recently as well, we've seen Brighton do it, are going to put up a fight and going to take points off the rest of the league. I just think Liverpool's key factor in this is that they've managed to demolish all the small teams as well, aside from the Watford game. Like just losing 2 matches in the last 2 years, where you see other teams slip up sometimes. I mean, God, Spurs do it a lot. Arsenal with the defeat to Brighton, Manchester United when they were struggling against some of the lower teams. That is your bread and butter, because those are the teams you play week in, week out. You only play the rest of the top 6 twice a season. But yeah, I think that's what Liverpool have done. It wasn't handed them on the plate because they've still got those points. If all the other teams had done rubbish, right, and then Liverpool also did crap as well, then it wasn't handed them on the plate. They went out there, they won the points fair and square. Zayn Ayana said, Pepe is starting to prove that he is 70 million in my opinion. Matt, do you think so too? I'm not sure he's showing he's worth the 70 million, but he's being more consistent. I think that's all anyone wants from these kind of players. There's no doubt that when a player is signed for big money, so let's take Pepe, let's take João Felix, and yeah, we'll throw Coutinho in there as well. Nobody is doubting the talent of these 3 players. You don't get to the level where clubs feel confident to pay 70, 80, 100, 130 million for you if you're not a talented footballer. It's just the consistency that loads of teams and fans want to see. And I think when Pepe can do what he does regularly, then yeah, he's definitely worth it. He just hasn't been, for whatever reason. Arsenal have had 3 managers. It's not been the greatest season for them. He's moved to a new league. He's not very young. I think he's 23, 24. He's starting to prove it. I agree. He's starting to prove. He's not the 70 million just yet. Ribar Valiashi has said, unpopular opinion, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is in the top 5 players who have ever lived. There's a reason that's unpopular, because it's not true. I think the circus that surrounds Zlatan, sorry, from my opinion, you're allowed yours. The circus that surrounds him and all this, his whole spiel about, you know, talking in the third person and being godlike. He's up there with over 500 career goals for sure. I'm just not sure if he's in the top 5 players to have ever lived. I'm not going to run through my top 5 because I'll probably leave out someone off the top of my head and you'll all go batshit crazy in the comments. But yeah, I'm not sure in the top 5. He's got an argument for top 10, I'll give him that. If you're watching Zlatan, I didn't say any of that. Onefootball, next up with an honest opinion. Danny Ings should be in the Euro 2021 squad for England, ahead of the likes of Tammy Abraham, Mason Greenwood, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He brings good experience in terms of quality, is England's second best striker behind Harry Kane. Whew. Boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, okay, so this season he's on 18 Premier League goals at the moment. So it's hard to disagree with it. I think he is a very good striker. I think he's a goal-getter. And he's someone that unfortunately really needs that kind of, he's sort of sniffing out goals, and I'm not sure whether he's going to produce enough in a team. If Southampton have a poor game, there's lots of questions asked, but I don't think Danny Ings not doing enough is one of the biggest questions. People wouldn't necessarily look at him to, you know, do the playmaking as well. Get involved with the link up between midfield and the forward, create the chances, finish the chances. He's there as the goal scorer in a team that desperately needs goals. You know, for example, Roberto Firmino is a great example. He could still be a fantastic player and have a brilliant effect on the Liverpool team, even if he's not scoring that many. And I think Ings is a goal-getter, the likes that would probably come off the bench. Harry Kane, as an all-round footballer, is England's best striker, and I just think, as a striker, he is the best striker England have got. Tammy Abraham's got very good hold-up play as well. I think he's a good aerial threat too. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I'd put him on the same level as Ings. I think Cavallini's got some really good potential, a few years younger. And Mason Greenwood's very, very good young talent. Greenwood can play across the front three, similar to Sancho and Sterling. I'd put him in a different category. I don't see him as straight through the middle kind of striker. But yeah, I'd certainly take Ings. Based off this season, you 100% have to take him as the second highest active English goal scorer because Jamie Vardy's retired from international duty. If he can continue this form next season, it's a crime that he doesn't get into the Euro squad. Lastly but not least, Sabir Ismail has said, do you see Gerrard and Lampard battling out once again as managers? By the way, keep up your daily vids. Thank you, Sabir, we will. Yeah, I can see Gerrard moving to Liverpool at some stage. And if Lampard's still at Chelsea, which I think he should be, he's done a fantastic job in his first season, yeah, I can see them battling it out. Why not? I think they would both have their teams on a similar level. If Gerrard was to take over from Klopp, and no shade on Gerrard, it'd be very difficult to replicate what Klopp's done. Like, Klopp is a special manager. It'd be very difficult to replicate this. So if you consider the fact Lampard would be a bit better than he is now in a few years' time, Gerrard wouldn't have Klopp as good as Liverpool are now. Wouldn't have Liverpool as good as they are under Klopp now. Yeah, they'd probably battle it out. I can see them both in the top four, both competing for major trophies. So yeah, why not? People love to see it. People love to see that kind of stuff. That's great. Anyway, thank you so much, as always, for all of your opinions on this week's TFW. This is the brand new Onefootball. This is the brand new set. Everything's brand new, so give us loads of your feedback on that and today's show, of course. Every Sunday night in the YouTube community tab is where I will be posting, where you guys can leave your comments underneath for Monday's show. But until next time, I will see you guys later.
It's the night.